Cities used to grow by accident. Sure, the location usually made sense, someplace defensible on a hill or on an island, or somewhere near an extractable resource or the confluence of two transport routes. But what happened next was ad hoc. The people who worked in the fort or the mines or the port or the warehouses needed places to eat, to sleep, and to worship. Infrastructure threaded through the hustle and bustle, water, sewage, roads, trolleys, gas, electricity, in vast networks of improvisation. You can find planned exceptions, Alexandria, Roman colonial towns, certain districts in major Chinese cities, Haussmann's Paris, but for the most part it was happenstance, luck, and layering the new on top of the old. At least that's the way things worked for most of human history, but around the second decade of the 20th century, things changed. Cities started to happen on purpose. Beginning with New York City's zoning laws in 1916, development began to occur by commission, not omission. Laws and regulations dictated the shape of the envelope. Functional decisions determined aesthetic outcomes, not always for the best. So let's jump to now, a century plus or minus after human beings started putting their minds towards designing cities as a whole. Things are getting good. High-tech materials, sensor networks, new science, and better data are all letting architects, designers, and planners work smarter and more precisely. Cities are getting more environmentally sound, more fun, and more beautiful. And just in time, because today more human beings live in cities than not. In this year's design issue, we're telling the stories of some of those projects, from the detail of a new streetlight to a sacred city in flux, from masterful museums to infrastructure made for bikes and the algorithms that run it all. The cities of tomorrow might still self-assemble haltingly, but done right, the process won't be accidental. A city shouldn't just happen anymore. Every block, every building, every brick represents innumerable decisions. LA goes LED and gets connected. Los Angeles is retrofitting 4,500 miles of orange-yellow sodium vapor streetlights with a moonlight-hued matrix of light-emitting diodes. Roads will look brighter, but they will also be more connected. Every energy-efficient lamp will link wirelessly to the Bureau of Street Lighting, letting headquarters know if it is on, off, broken, etc. And in the future, lights will change in response to what's going on around them. They might blink if a police car or ambulance is on its way, or brighten for pedestrians after a ball game. Whilst other cities around the world use LEDs to save money and add splashes of color and emphasis, LA plans to build a network that does more than show what's happening right in front of you. It tells you something about the entire city. An evolving museum spirals between past and present, Shanghai. Shanghai has exploded skyward in recent years, throwing up rank upon rank of bristling skyscrapers. Then there's the new Shanghai Natural History Museum. Set in a park in the Pudong Financial District, the building spirals down into the earth like an excavation of the city's pre-urban roots. A central courtyard shown above, inspired by the water gardens of Suzhou, is a reminder of the value that ancient Chinese culture placed on natural beauty. Around it, a honeycombed glass wall evoking the cell structure of plants fills the interior with sunlight. Architect Ralph Johnson of Perkins & Will says the shape of the building was inspired by the Nautilus shell, but also it's for traffic control. Chinese museums are often thronged, and the descending ramps steer crowds through a chronological tour of life on Earth. On the way, they encounter some 11,000 specimens, including a towering Mamenchisaurus skeleton and later fauna that once thrived in Shanghai's vanishing wetlands. There's plenty of forward-looking tech too, like green climate and water systems. That courtyard pool helps cool the building. It's a thoroughly modern museum that embraces Shanghai's exuberant futurism whilst reminding its inhabitants of where we all came from. Combining libraries and parks into safe spaces for all, Medellin. The metro cable succeeded in connecting Medellin's poorest neighborhoods to the rest of the city, but that wasn't enough for Alejandro Echeverri. As the city's director of urban projects from 2004 to 2008, the architect threw himself into tackling some of Medellin's most challenging urban problems. His secret weapon? Beautiful design. But his efforts weren't aimed at the rich. Echeverry insisted on working in the same low-income areas the cable cars had opened up. A good building, a well-designed space, a dignified public transit system, a quality cultural event, these all work on a psychological level to generate a feeling that you are included in the city, he says. That philosophy guided the design of 5 libraries sprinkled throughout Medellin, all surrounded by beautiful greenery. These library parks were among the first safe public spaces many neighborhoods had ever seen. But Echeverry knew he couldn't just throw up nice buildings and expect life to improve. His department went street by street, planting trees and replacing crumbling schools. One of the keys to Medellin's success is that these aren't isolated projects, Echeverry says. They're all woven together, co-creations as he calls them, with the communities that use them every day. What do you think about these projects? Tell us in the comments. Also, watch the 2 videos that are on your screen because I'm sure that you'll love them. With that, I'll see you in the next video.